Ricken Financial presents Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. Jerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens.
Appreciate you subscribing and downloading to Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement, rickenfinancial.com to meet the team and see all the services they have to offer. My name is Mark Owens, Jerry Ricken, Heidi Ricken Provost. I feel like I haven't seen y'all in about a month.
We're back.
I know. I feel that way too. I was literally just thinking, when was the last time the three of us were in the office communicating with each other?
Jerry, I know how bad you want to sing Reunited right now, don't you? It's killing.
I do. I certainly do.
And it feels so good.
Thank you. Our karaoke album coming this Christmas. Looking forward to that one. Hey, before we get into it, really good topic this week to break down some of the ABCs of retirement planning. I want to go backwards.
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
There it is. It's a very musical episode.
It is.
Sibs Camp and Camp Rainbow, something very near and dear to your heart. Recently back from that incredible experience. So for those that may have missed the past couple of episodes, explain what Camp Rainbow is and your involvement.
Well, Camp Rainbow started in 1988 with one child who was diagnosed with cancer, and they wanted to go to summer camp. So the founder, Alan Brockman, and his wife, Ronnie, started the camp and said, hey, as long as our kids want to go to camp, we're going to have Camp Rainbow. So they did that for several years and years for the kids who were diagnosed with cancer.
And blood-related diseases in the St. Louis area.
Yes, or in remission. And then it expanded, and now we have 7 different camping experiences where we offer camps to children affected by pediatric cancer, their siblings, the Sibs Camp, a family camp for their entire family, a Teens and 20 program for the teenagers in the early 20s who are kind of aging out of the camping experience, a teen program for the teenagers, a day camp for the little kids who don't want to spend the night or can't spend the night.
They want to spend the night, but they can't yet.
They can't yet because they're too homesick. So they come out for camp during the day, then their parents pick them up and take them home, and they sleep in their own bed at night. And a camping in experience, which is bringing the camp experience into the pediatric hospitals on the oncology floors so that those children can experience some of the magic of Camp Rainbow.
Sibs Camp is the one that our family is very passionate about because, we know how the siblings are affected when your sibling is diagnosed with cancer. And it's been over 20 years since my sister had cancer, and it's something that we still carry with ourselves every single day of our lives. And the beautiful thing about Sibs Camp is whether your sibling is still here fighting, or they're in remission, or they're watching over us, we get to be at Sibs Camp together. So it's a tough connection to have with these kids, but a wonderful experience that we're able to provide them a week where they just get to be a kid.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the sibling that's putting food on the table or helping to care for their siblings when mom and dad are at the hospital and working, and all the other things that come with being a sibling who has a sick sibling. It's amazing. They just get to hang out, be a kid, zip line over the lake, which spoiler alert, we did too. You'll be seeing some shorts on our YouTube about that bad boy. Yes, they did hold my body weight. I was a little concerned about that at first because we're sending like 25-pound kids down there, and I'm like,
grown ass adult, let's go.
The younger kids.
The younger kids had to go 2 at a time because you have to be over 50 pounds in order to do the zip line.
So it was very, very cute. But our daughter Barbie has been involved with Camp Rainbow for longer than any of us because she was a nurse at oncology camp for years. Then she had the privilege of developing with the staff the Sibs Camp. So
great.
So it's been a very, very integral part of our family. And I'm fortunate enough to serve on the board, and Barbie serves on the medical advisory board. So
I get to lead my dad that week, by the way, because
yes,
I am the team leadership. I am the leader of logistics. So he did have to report to me all week long.
Yes,
the funny thing is the middle-aged kid, the boy cabin, when I was giving directions for here are what we have to follow in order to be safe on the water slides, I put the fear of God in them because they all said, yes, ma'am, every time. And my last rule was and you must have fun. And they still thought I was giving them
Yes,
rules.
ma'am.
And they're like, yes, ma'am. And I'm
Yes,
like, no, go have fun.
Get out of my face. Go have fun.
But please do it with your feet first, not your head first.
Yeah. Safety first.
You've said it before here, and we'll put it in the show notes as well. But what's the website if people want to get more information about Camp Rainbow and Sibs Camp?
It is camprainbow.com.
Excellent. We'll put that in the show notes.
I could not have done it without MacGyver over here. That pocket knife can do a lot of things. We got locked out of this one room a lot, and it was the only room that had all of our supplies in it. The door would automatically lock, so Dad figured out how to open that up with his pocket knife.
Big buck knife.
And he fashioned a foam machine out of a 55-gallon drum. We did a lot of really cool things.
I'm telling you, everybody learning on this experience. I love
That's
it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you had a great
Got to
time.
use that garden plane ingenuity no matter where we are.
That's exactly right.
Go give them a follow on social media. See some more great pictures from Camp Rainbow and Sibs Camp. All right, let's get to it. There's actually going to be a 2-part show because I want to break down.
Maybe even more.
Maybe could be 3-part. Could be 4. Let's just
But wait,
listen.
there's more.
You're here. I'm here. Let's just see what happens before we run out of time. You want to talk about some of the ABCs of retirement planning, which makes sense because we have new people checking out this podcast all the time that are getting serious about their retirement planning. And they hear us use a lot of these terms that maybe they've never heard or they've heard, but they don't quite understand. So, Heidi, let's start breaking them down, some of the ABCs of retirement planning.
We live in this world, so we think most people know all of our common language. And we figured, this first one I have to share, I would say the majority of people probably have the wrong answer for what an IRA actually stands for. It is an individual retirement arrangement.
Oh.
It is not an individual retirement account.
That's
like
what I
most
thought.
people think.
Put me in that camp.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So IRAs are where we save our money for retirement. Most of Americans have IRAs. They can be in the form of a 401k, 403b at work too as well. But it's an individual retirement arrangement where you're setting money aside for the future to use in your retirement.
Why arrangement and not account? Because it seems like account would make more sense.
Because that's what the government called it.
Okay. You know what?
And when we're looking at it, IRAs come typically in 2 forms. They're traditional. So those are those accounts, that you haven't paid the tax on yet. And when you take the money out in the future, you'll be paying the tax. And then we have Roth. And Roth are those accounts where you've already paid the tax and then you wait 5 years, and over the age of 59 and a half, you can draw that money at any point in time without having to pay tax. But the general term IRA is actually an individual retirement arrangement, and it can be in traditional or Roth form.
So I heard a story about with a Roth, and this is another, let's break it down from the beginning. A Roth is you get taxed when you put it in, but there are some opportunities to put it in a Roth and let it build, but then get taxed on the way out. Did I get
Your
misinformation?
gain could be taxed on the way out if you are under the age of 59 and a half and it has not been in Roth form for 5 years. But as long as that money stays in Roth form for at least 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, the growth and the principal cannot be taxable.
All right, give me another one on this list of the ABCs of retirement planning.
Well, we're going to go with a qualified account. We talk about qualified account, and it doesn't mean, oh gosh, you have great qualities. What it really means is that it is a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k where you have not yet paid the tax on the amount that is in the account. So we talk a lot about it, and Heidi and I realize that we use a lot of jargon we don't mean to, but it is just nomenclature for us to just talk in these terms. And all of a sudden, someone raised their hand at a seminar recently and said, what is a qualified account? So a qualified account simply means an account that you have money in for your retirement future that has not been taxed. So when the money comes out of that account, 100% of it will become taxed at your ordinary income tax rates. So we're not talking about capital gains or anything like that. We're talking about whatever your tax rate is, that when you pull that money out of that account, a qualified account, it will become taxable at that point.
So any money any money you have set aside for retirement in a program that's not taxed is a qualified account.
Correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The qualified accounts are those ones, every single penny you pay the tax on when you take the money out.
Got it. All right. What you got?
How about a non-qualified account?
Boom.
Makes sense.
Think like individual brokerage accounts, or anything where you have paid the tax and then you invest in that. Most non-qualified accounts, the gains will be taxable. So the principal that you invested in that, you've already paid the tax on it. You don't have to worry about that, but the gains will be taxable in the future. Just the gains, not the principal.
Give me a couple of examples of a non-qualified account.
So if you invest money in the stock market on your own right, and it's like, cash that you put in there after you've been paid, that would be a non-qualified account.
How do you figure out what's going to be best for somebody between qualified and non-qualified? Like, what are the parameters, I guess, is my question.
Every person's going to have a different answer to that question. But if 100% of your assets are qualified right now, you're probably going to be structuring the IRS to be one of your largest beneficiaries in the future. So it's the tax conversation that we always start with. And that's the basis of every plan that we do, is we want to make sure you're tax advantaged and only paying your fair share of income taxes in your lifetime and with your legacy. So if everything you've saved is in that qualified, so all of your working years, you have traditional 401k, IRAs, 403bs, all of that saved, and then it's time to retire and you haven't paid a penny of tax on that, you're going to be in a world of hurt when the time comes that you have to pay tax on that. So we always want to make sure there's a mix of qualified and non-qualified. And we might actually be able to help you convert some of those qualified funds and pay the tax now to save you in the long term from future taxation on your qualified accounts.
It all comes back to taxes. All right, talk about some of the ABCs of retirement planning. What you got, Gerry?
RMD.
Speaking of taxes.
Yes, speaking of taxes, RMDs. RMDs are required minimum distributions from a qualified account. We're not talking about the Roth world now. We're talking about the traditional IRAs and 401ks. It used to be that when you turned 70 and 1/2, you had to start taking money out of those accounts and actually paying tax on that. The tax laws have changed several times in the last few years. And now if you were born before 1960, you will need to take required minimum distributions out at age 73. And if you were born in 1960 or after, it's age 75. What is a required minimum distribution? It is an amount based on your life expectancy. The IRS tells us how long we're going to last. They have a life expectancy table, and it's based on that table. It's based on your life expectancy. Each year you age up, your life expectancy shortens. So the percentage of the amount of the account you need to take out and pay tax on increases. So the percentage increases as you age up, and hopefully it's outpaced by the amount of rate of return you've had on that account, so that your account continues to grow. But when your account continues to grow and you're not taking as much money out of it, you're just deferring that tax and deferring that tax and deferring that tax to the future, as Heidi just mentioned. So Roth conversions may be a point of conversation here. But the first time you have to take a required minimum distribution, you have to do it by April 15th, by tax day of the year after you turned either 73 or 75. If you wait until after year end and do that first one in the first 4 months of the year, you'll have to take 2 out in that year to satisfy not only the year in which you turn 73, also the year in which you turn 74 or 75, 76. So we always encourage people to, let's take a look at this and make sure that you're doing the right thing tax-wise, so that you're not disadvantaging yourself with more taxable income in 1 year than you really need to perform. So it's all based on your age, and there's no way around it. You have to take it out. If you do not take it out, there is a heinous tax penalty involved. If you do not take your required minimum distribution out of your qualified account, you will pay a 25% tax penalty on money you did not receive. Let me just repeat that. You'll pay a 25% tax penalty on money you did not take out of your account. So it's paramount that you work with someone who makes sure that you take the appropriate amount out of these accounts, so that you're not tax disadvantaged. In fact, that we're very happy that it's 25%, because Mark, a few years ago, it used to be 50%. So you had to pay a 50% penalty for money you did not receive. So we want to make sure that you do abide by those rules of required minimum distributions to prevent any of those tax penalties from occurring.
Because PSA, if you as taxpayer fail to take your RMD, The onus is on you as taxpayer, not on the custodian of your accounts or your tax accountant or anyone else. At the end of the day, it falls on you to make sure you do right by yourself. So that's why you really got to make sure you're working with someone who understands taxation and make sure that you take the proper RMD each year.
It's like you're having to pay to put gas in a car that you don't own and that you can't drive.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
And you said something there, Gerry. You said the IRS has a life expectancy table. Well, that's not fair because A, we're living longer and nobody can really predict exactly how long we're going to live. So what are the factors that the IRS comes up with for your life expectancy table?
Well,
is that the $1 million question?
That's the $1 million question.
The $1 million.
I've not
some
sat around that
actuary
table
somewhere. Yeah, we haven't met that actuary yet to figure that out. Because fun fact, at age 100, how long do they think you're going to live, Dad?
Well, you're going to have to take 50% of your balance out.
So they still think you're going to keep living.
Yes.
At age 100.
So
At age
100, 101, beyond, you still have to take 50% out.
each and every year.
It never gets up to 100, just 50%.
And again, this all goes back to taxes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It all goes back to the tax strategy. All right, well, let's do this. Let's hit pause there because that's a lot of great information about the ABCs of retirement planning. And I know we got a couple more. Let's let that simmer for a little bit, talking about the IRA and the Roth, a qualified versus a non-qualified account. What does it mean? And also a deep discussion about your RMDs. Some of the ABCs of retirement planning from the team at Ricken Financial, rickenfinancial.com. The next show that we will release in the next week or so, we'll have part 2 of this conversation as well. So look forward to that in the next week or so. But for now, let's hit pause and continue this conversation on the next episode. Before we get out of here, thank you all for listening. Check out rickenfinancial.com for more information. Finish it up every day.
Is a holiday.
It's a holiday.
Life is short.
Laugh hard.
Thanks for listening. This has been Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.